The security footage from Santa Barbara Municipal Airport is indistinct, but the timestamp leaves no ambiguity. 3:14 a.m. A black SUV skids to a stop in a clearly marked no parking zone. The driver remains inside. Instead, the passenger door swings open and a lone figure stumbles onto the tarmac. It is Prince Harry, though this is not the composed Duke familiar from glossy covers. He is dressed in a gray t-shirt, sweatpants, one sneaker untied. He carries no luggage. There is no security detail. In his unsteady hand, he grips a single dark blue booklet, his British passport. Witnesses on site described a scene defined by panic. One airport employee, speaking anonymously, said he did not resemble royalty. He resembled someone fleeing. Harry ran toward a refueling Cessna, pounding on the fuselage and shouting at the pilot to depart immediately. For 4 years, rumors have circulated about Harry wanting to leave the United Kingdom. Tonight, that narrative has reversed. He is not escaping the palace, he is fleeing the Montecito mansion. Sources say the residence is now under lockdown. Lights burn in every room, security patrols the perimeter. But the master bedroom is vacant, and the catalyst for his flight, according to a source deeply embedded within the Sussex circle, was a frantic text message allegedly sent by Meghan to her mother, moments after Harry's vehicle sped away. The message does not convey concern for his safety, it conveys fear for exposure. It reads, "He broke into the safe. He has the blue drive. Mom, it's over." To understand why a prince would vanish into the night with nothing but the clothes he wore, we must rewind 3 hours before the aircraft left the ground. The children were asleep. Meghan was reportedly in the guest wing editing the final cut of a new project. Harry was awake. He was searching. According to household sources, the prince had planned a solo trip to the UK to see King Charles following the cancer diagnosis. But there was a complication. He could not locate his passport. For years, whispers have circulated that Meghan keeps the family's critical documents in what she refers to as the vault, a concealed safe in the master closet requiring biometric access. But on this night, whether through oversight or malfunction, the safe was allegedly left ajar. Harry entered the closet expecting to retrieve his travel papers and leave a note. He found the passport, but beneath it he found something that did not belong in a family safe, a metallic blue external hard drive. A strip of masking tape ran across the front, bearing handwriting Harry instantly recognized. It belonged to Marcus Anderson, Meghan's closest confidant and a senior figure within Soho House. The label read, "Soho Archive 2015 to 2018, do not delete." Curiosity gave way to confusion, and confusion rapidly turned to dread. Harry carried the drive to his study, locked the door, and connected it to his laptop. What appeared on screen was not a personal archive. It was a structured directory resembling a corporate intelligence database. Folder A, Istanbul account. Folder B, yacht receipts. Folder C, target acquisition H. Harry opened the file. The video was timestamped June 2016, 1 month before their first meeting. It showed Meghan seated in a Soho House boardroom in Toronto. She was not the shy humanitarian presented publicly. She was methodical. Holding a whiteboard marker, she circled a photograph of Harry pinned to the board. "He's the mark," she says in the footage. "He's desperate for a maternal figure. We lean into the Diana narrative. If we secure him, the brand value is limitless." Harry did not shout. He did not weep. He vomited. The realization struck with physical force. The romance, the courtship, the narrative of isolation against the world. It was a long con, a carefully engineered operation in which the asset was his life. He ejected the drive, forced it into his pocket, and ran. He understood instinctively that if she realized he had accessed Folder C, departure would no longer be an option. Now, high above the Atlantic, inside the pressurized cabin of the Cessna, Harry was no longer reviewing video files. He had opened a directory titled The Sandringham Tapes. The file names alone chilled him. Queen Private Summit, January 2020. William Kitchen Argument. Charles Financial Plea. He inserted his headphones and selected the file bearing the Queen's name. First came the static of a concealed microphone, then the voice of his grandmother, subdued, expressing disappointment. "I cannot allow half in, half out, Harry," she says. "It is dangerous." Then he heard himself shouting. In the background, the sound of fabric shifting. The microphone was not on him, it was on Meghan. He realized, with a nauseating clarity, that she had been wired during the most painful private exchange of his life. She had not merely recorded the family, she had catalogued them, preserved them for leverage. But the revelations did not end with surveillance. The drive contained a subfolder labeled Medical and Logistics. Inside were email exchanges between Meghan and a specialized Los Angeles prop studio known for high-budget science fiction productions. The subject lines were clinical: month 4, silicone weight adjustment, texture match, delivery date, prosthetic set B. Harry clicked on an image file. It presented a side-by-side comparison, a moon bump, a prosthetic pregnancy abdomen, placed beside a photograph of Meghan taken during an engagement in Birkenhead. The alignment was exact. The crease in the coat, the manner in which the fabric fell, was not accidental, it was constructed. Harry leaned back in the leather seat, his hands visibly shaking. In that moment, he understood that the secrecy surrounding the births was never about personal privacy. It was about concealing a timeline, the simple reality that the production schedule did not align with biological fact. Back in Montecito, the silence of the night was abruptly broken. Meghan did not dial 911 to report a missing person. She did not contact her security team to report an abduction. She made a single call, to a number registered with a Toronto area code, Marcus Anderson. The transcript of that call, intercepted through the same localized signal breach that captured her earlier message, reads like a case study in crisis containment. "He has the archive," Meghan allegedly whispered, pacing the room. "He knows about the yacht. He knows about the audition tapes." On the other end of the line, Anderson moved immediately into damage control mode. "Track his phone," he instructed. "If he brings that drive to London, if that reaches William, we are uninsurable. We are finished." But Harry had at last learned the operational methods of the people around him. Police reports later confirmed that a shattered iPhone 14 Pro was recovered along the shoulder of the 101 freeway near the Carpinteria exit. Harry had discarded the tracking device at 60 miles per hour. He had gone dark. Realizing physical tracking was no longer possible, Meghan initiated what sources describe as Plan B. At 5:45 a.m., a call was logged with the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department, simultaneously relayed to private medical contractors in the United Kingdom. The narrative was deliberate and deeply unsettling. A high-profile male aged 39. He has fled the residence in a manic state. He is off his medication. He is delusional. If located, do not approach. He requires immediate psychiatric detention. This was not merely an effort to stop him, it was an attempt to institutionalize him. Meghan understood that if Harry reached London and entered Buckingham Palace carrying that blue drive, her position was irreversibly compromised. But if he were intercepted at an airport by medical personnel and removed under restraint, any claims he made about prosthetics or surveillance would be dismissed as the incoherent ramblings of a disturbed man. The wheels of the Cessna screamed against the rain-soaked tarmac at Farnborough Airport. It was 11:10 a.m. London time, gray, cold, and drizzling. As the aircraft taxied toward a private hangar, Harry looked out through the porthole window, his heart pounding against his ribs. He saw them. 3 black SUVs stood near the jet bridge. They were not royal protection vehicles. They were private security contractors. Beside them stood 2 paramedics and a man in a suit holding a clipboard. Meghan's call had achieved its objective. "They're going to section me," Harry realized, gripping the blue drive so tightly his knuckles blanched. The cabin door opened. "Your Highness," the man with the clipboard called out calmly, "please descend slowly. We have a vehicle prepared to take you to a private medical facility. Your wife is extremely concerned." "I'm not going with you," Harry shouted from the top of the stairs. "I am not medicated." The man gestured to the paramedics. "Sir, please, we have a hold order. Do not make this difficult." It was a trap. If he descended those steps, he vanished. But just as the paramedics placed their boots on the first stair, a thunderous roar cut across the airfield. From the service entrance, a convoy of 4 armored Range Rovers surged onto the tarmac, lights flashing. These vehicles bore no private plates. They bore crown plates. The convoy boxed in the private security team. 6 men exited, weapons raised. At their center stood a tall, broad-shouldered man in a trench coat, Ken Worf, former personal protection officer to Princess Diana, a man Harry had not spoken to in years, but the only man he trusted enough to call from the air. "Step away from the prince," Worf barked. The man with the clipboard stuttered. "We have a medical directive from the Duchess." "The Duchess has no jurisdiction here," Worf cut in, flashing identification bearing the royal crest. "This is British soil. That man is the son of the king. He is under the protection of the crown." Worf looked up at Harry. "Get in the car, sir. We're going to see your father." Harry bolted down the stairs, dodged the frozen paramedics, and dove into the rear seat of the lead Range Rover. The convoy tore through London's streets, ignoring signals. It turned onto the Mall. The gates of Clarence House swung open. King Charles was waiting. Sources inside the palace later described the moment as biblical, the prodigal son returning not with a financial request, but with an admission of betrayal at the highest level. Harry was escorted into the morning room. Charles stood by the fireplace, visibly frail but upright. Queen Camilla was present. Harry did not bow. He crossed the room and placed the blue drive on the antique coffee table. "It wasn't the press," Harry said, his voice breaking. "It was her, the leaks, the book, the interviews, all scripted, and I have the script." Royal aides brought in a secured laptop. For the next 2 hours, the King of England listened. He listened as Meghan was heard recording him during private family dinners. He listened to recordings of what were described as Soho House strategy sessions, meetings in which she and Marcus Anderson spoke of the monarchy not as a family, but as a declining brand to be stripped for content and leverage. But the moment that finally shook the king came from a single video file dated September 2022, time-stamped just 2 days before the death of Queen Elizabeth. The footage shows Meghan in the Montecito kitchen on a call with her PR team, casually chopping vegetables. The old lady is fading. When she goes, we launch the racism narrative immediately. Charles will be weak. We strike while he's grieving. If we time the podcast correctly, we can delegitimize the coronation before the crown is even placed. Charles turned away from the screen, visibly unsteady. This was no longer a difficult daughter-in-law or an internal family dispute. In his assessment, this was an external operator who had entered the household with the intent to dismantle the institution from within. "She wanted to destroy us," Charles said quietly, not out of personal grievance, but because, as the evidence now suggested, it was a commercial strategy. At that moment, the secure phone on the king's desk rang. It was the direct line to the Prime Minister. "Your Majesty," an aide said, his face drained of color, "the Duchess has just released a public statement. She alleges that Prince Harry is mentally unstable, violent, and abusing substances. She is demanding full custody." King Charles rose to his feet. The fragility vanished. In its place stood the unambiguous resolve of a reigning monarch. "She believes she is fighting a husband," Charles said, his voice dropping. "She has forgotten she is confronting the crown." He turned to his private secretary. "Contact MI6. We are not issuing a statement. We are issuing a warrant." Night fell over London, but the lights inside Clarence House burned with an intensity not seen in decades. While global media outlets rushed to amplify the Duchess's claims, a very different process was unfolding behind closed doors. At 6 p.m. GMT, the British ambassador in Washington, D.C., delivered a sealed envelope to the United States Justice Department. It contained a formal request, the immediate securing of the Montecito residence as a crime scene linked to international espionage involving a head of state. The blue drive had not merely documented a failed marriage, it allegedly demonstrated that Meghan Markle had unlawfully recorded private conversations with both the late Queen and the reigning king, actions that would constitute violations of the Official Secrets Act and U.S. federal wiretapping statutes. Back in California, the atmosphere inside the Olive Garden mansion shifted abruptly, from confidence to fear. Sources outside the gates reported the arrival of a convoy of black SUVs bearing federal plates. This was not the local sheriff's department, it was the FBI. Inside the foyer, Meghan was standing holding her phone, attempting to reach Marcus. A recorded voice responded, "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." Marcus had gone dark. The network had severed the connection. In London, Prince Harry stepped onto the front steps of Clarence House, clean-shaven, suited, composed. He looked unmistakably like a Windsor. He approached the assembled press. Flashbulbs erupted. He faced the BBC camera directly. "For 6 years," Harry said, his voice steady, "I was told my family were the villains. I was told I was the victim. I was told I was saving the world." He paused. "I wasn't saving the world. I was financing a grift. The money is gone, the scripts are burned, and the blue drive is now in the possession of the authorities." He raised a document, a copy of the 1917 letters concerning the custody of royal grandchildren. "My children are citizens of the United Kingdom. They are the grandchildren of the king, and I am coming to get them." Harry turned around and walked back inside. The heavy oak doors closed behind him. The simulation had ended. As the screen fades to black, one final image remains from the leaked dossier, a text message sent from Harry to Meghan moments before he addressed the press. 3 words: "Ending the era of silence, beginning the era of reckoning. Checkmate. H."